Welcome, world. Welcome to another edition of the Polto Show. You know, I always say that each show is going to be different, and welcome to the new time limit. The new time is 7 o'clock at night instead of the 2 o'clock show. And this is for the people in California or all over the country. And first of all, I want to thank last week the fireman that came on the show. He did everything that he could the right way, and he's getting the attention of the city. But I want the attention of all United States, of every fireman out there. And it was a great week that we had him on the show. So every fireman out there, stand up for your cause. And I'm going to do the same thing with the police, getting somebody that's retired that could come on the camera and say it like it is. There's so much to talk about. Next week, let me bring to your attention, I want to present, you don't want to miss next week's show either. What would you do if you lived in a home, had an insurance claim, and you filed it, and your insurance company gave you a contractor to fix your home, and they took your money and never came back, and then you were told your home's not safe to live in, and now the person's homeless, trying to correct the problem. She don't know where to start. If you have a problem that no one is helping you and you don't know where to turn, please call me or go to my email or go to my website, contact Pearl Polto, and I will do everything possible, as we did to the firemen, but everything possible if you're having a show. Tonight's show is special to me, really special to me, to get the word across to you. And why it's special, I would like all Americans to know what the problems are. And I have the solutions. I'm not Einstein. I'm not the president. But I do have the solutions. And I want everybody out there to try to join forces with me, to know what these problems are. And a lot of you know what the problems are, and a lot of you don't throughout our country. And for the first time, I'm sending a copy of my book, Are We Doomed? Enough is Enough, to every congressman. I've already sent it to the president. As of last week, Are We Doomed? Enough is Enough is on Kindle, where everyone can read it and everyone will know before this election the results and what we can do to resolve the problem. It may shock you. There's a new commercial on television right now. There's a new commercial on your TV, and you're going to see it. It says, if you care about your country, it's time to get a driver's license to vote. And, you know, my answer, when I seen that, I had to turn off the television, because I say if our country cares about the people, also the seniors, you know, it's their time to show us as well. So stop reversing it, that we're the blame, because this election is going to be horrible for the one sake, because a lot of seniors, a lot of foreigners that don't have passports, a lot of people. When I was doing this show tonight, I got emails with this election coming up, and I will tell you what these emails came in. But the reason why this is a new time slot that we're heading for, 7 o'clock at night every Wednesday. And we're going to have a lot of great shows in the month of October and September. We are going to have another show, a follow-up on the firemen to start off with. We're going to have a show on drugs and alcohol. If you are addicted, where to go. We're also going to be doing a show on funerals. Yeah, funerals. You heard me. What's the worst thing you ever heard when somebody dies? Those of you that followed me on Facebook and follows me on Facebook, you will see that I put a little statement there that my own cousin's wife died of cancer as of yesterday. And the reason why this was important, when they told her she had cancer, she had it throughout her whole body. Her brain, lungs, she had it throughout her whole body. And I said to my cousin, you have to get this machine. You have to get it. And he did. And the doctor said to her 5 weeks ago that she was going to pass away any day. Well, she never did. She gained weight. She got out. She had an appetite to her. And what created this? What created this difference in this person from a deathbed to walking around 3 meals a day and eating and trying to make her dream come true, and that was staying alive for her husband. And yesterday, when I got the shocking news that she passed away, and I passed it away to a gentleman that's going to be on this show with his wife. And I'm really serious about this topic because I'm doing homework. I've always done homework on these shows. But the "are we doomed, enough is enough," when somebody says, I'm going to give a percent. I was going to give a percent to the cancer research. Not anymore. Because these percents are going to the wrong people. They're not going to the cancer research. And to all the walks, no offense, I may be offensive to you in what I'm saying, but I'm against the walks. And many of you will agree with me. Many of you will agree with me when I say I'm against the walks. What are you walking for? What are we walking for? We're not walking for a cure. The research is going to the telemarketings and not to the researchers. And you tell me that of all these years of marching, we don't have a cure? Well, I'm going to tell you there is a cure. And it's in my book. I'm going to tell you there are cures out there. It's in my book. And I'm tired of it. And this is the year I am going to make something happen. I'm not sure if anybody knew out there, but you'd be shocked. You would be shocked because you didn't know. But did you know that many Americans, and who was one of those Americans, was our own president, President Reagan? Did you know while he was in the White House, he had cancer? No one knew it. He wasn't telling anybody that he had cancer. And he turned his back on the American cancer treatments. And you know what he did? He secretly went to Germany. Secretly went to Germany to get rid of his cancer. And you didn't even know he had it. And 19 years later, he didn't die of cancer. As we all know. Germany is not in this country. Naturally, there's top doctors there, and they say doctors give chemo, 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 chemo. Patients die. Every German doctor uses a whole new way with the no hair, no loss, no throwing up, and other countries can't understand what we're doing. Other countries can't understand why we don't have a cure. Why does an American, we live in this country, why do we have to go to another country? Well, we don't. We don't. One of my shows in October is just on cancer. As I said, I'm doing so much research. But all the research is in my book, one of the chapters. It's called Dying in Good Health. And it's all the chapters about there is a cure. There is cures for cancer. And I'm not just saying it. I am not just saying there's cures for cancer. When I wrote the book, I purchased a machine. And that machine was from another country. And that's in the book. I purchased this machine from another country. And how I got to this machine, and the whole show is going to be on cancer in October. And you don't want to miss that show. But this show, how I got that machine was from a news media contacting a stupid doctor. And she's saying, you want the machine? You have to buy it in another country. And I did. And then I was frustrated and aggravated because everybody that has cancer in the United States, they want hope. And what do they do when they want hope? They go to their doctors. And their doctor says, well, here's what you got to do. Chemo, radiation. And what happens with chemo, radiation? Well, we all know chemo is poison. We all know the radiation is burning the good and the bad and the ugly. And my cousin was on that machine in this book. But it was too late. Even though she felt good, gaining weight, she had it throughout her whole body. So she was going against the odds. And I said to my cousin, her husband, I said, now I wish I would have known this a year ago, as I've known from my friend who's going to be on this show, and his wife agreed to come on the show, that did have it, where her doctor said, she's got a death sentence here. There's a death sentence here. And the client that I'm going to have on this show is saying, don't you dare, you're not God. Well, people, I don't know what to tell you. We have to stop putting faith in our government and our doctors when some doctors know about these cures. Some people know about it, but they have so much hope by saying, what do I do? Well, I wouldn't do this. Stay by the conventional treatment. And people do. And where are these people? When I got this machine that I'm talking about in my book, I had it in my living room. And I knew a couple people that were dying of cancer, that had cancer. And I said, I have it. I have the original. And they said, well, my doctor said, I got to go to the chemo. I got to go to the radiation. Well, they're dead and gone. And I said, this is sitting here. This is wasting lives. So I gave it to another doctor someplace else. But then not even the doctors are allowed to have this machine in their office. Do you know why? Because our government would close them up. They would come to their office and say, not only we're taking the machine away, we are closing you up. So then I did more homework to say, is it just a machine? Are we missing something? Is it our environment? Is it the food? We have so much fast food. What is it that's doing this and causing this cancer? But how can we get rid of it? How can we get rid of it? Well, there are answers of how to get. I may be the miracle worker or I may be the hero the next year. And I hope I'm the miracle worker and the hero because I'm going to save more lives. Just as we stirred up the system in the city of Philadelphia with the firemen, I want to stir up the whole United States in coming together, put forces together to not just find the cure. There is a cure. And if you do your homework, Ronald Reagan, our president, had cancer in the White House. He didn't tell the world. You know why he didn't tell the world? It's our government. What's he going to say? Well, I'm not listening to our government. I'm going to Germany. And he did. And he lived 19 years longer. So why do we believe? But we want to believe somebody. We want to believe our government. Just like the fireman last week, he wants to believe in the system. And look what happens. Well, now all the firemen are coming across together. They're standing forces by saying, we are not going to take it no more. I'm so proud that I gave him the opportunity. I'm going to give him another opportunity because we're going to do a follow-up on this. But that's only one chapter. One chapter in my book, Are We Doomed? I'm exposing a lot of things. As I said, I sent a copy of this to the president. Well, there's so many solutions in here. So many solutions, so many chapters. Now, let me tell you the crazy part of all this. I wrote this book 15 years ago. I have 5 books out on the market. Easy Guide to Good Credit, everything about credit, except this one. And I said, this is kind of strange. Nothing has changed. And the people, I feel like we're robots. We're listening to our government. We're listening to our doctors. We're listening to people that aren't giving us the correct information. The pharmaceutical companies, they're out to sell drugs. The doctors, the ones that are aware of this, are afraid. Just like the fireman was afraid. Just like police officers are afraid. If they come out with certain things, what happens? What does our government do? Well, I am not afraid, and I need people to get the knowledge and to stand behind me because I'm going all ape. And this is not the proceeds of, right now it's on Kindle. You can read this book on Kindle. But the proceeds are not going to the cancer research. Because they're not taking it. Because if you go for your walk, what happens? The percent of it goes to the telemarketers. Pretty sad. We can avoid a lot of diseases in this country if our government did the right thing. And I watched that thing last night with China. They didn't even want nothing to do with the United States when it comes to beef. They thought of the mad cow disease. And it's our government that's saying, no, it's not bad. I don't eat red meat. Why? Yes, that's one thing that causes cancer. So there's so much, but there are cures for it. And that's only one chapter in this book. I'm going to go over this because I want every American out there. And here's my gold. I need every American to get it. We put it on Kindle for a reason because you're only going to pay minimum. But I want you to know the answers so when you see me attacking, you will understand why I'm attacking, who I'm attacking, and then maybe it'll be in your backyard where you'll understand. This is my introduction. I will read the introduction. I wrote this book over 15 years ago, and nothing has changed. I feel the time has come for the people to know the truth and for our president to know what's going on with the people. Let's make a change now. Our country has been in trouble for a long time. It's troubled by consumers with every kind of problem, and everyone has their own ideas on how these issues can be corrected. Are there solutions to these problems? Yes. But before any problem is corrected, consumers has to reveal what they're feeling. You can talk to your friends, your family, but this is not going to correct the mishap that's occurring in our cities and our state and our country. You may think your officials already know these problems, but we cannot take for granted that they're smarter than we are. We have complained in every field of life. The people are angry. Our government is placed on us. The burden was not placed on us by choice, but by a mistake. We live in America, the land of the free. We have the choice to elect whoever we want into office and to exercise our right to vote. Many do vote and elect a person they know nothing about. That's what's happening in this election. We try to listen to each person who's running for office, and we hope they will tell the truth and mean what they say. But when this doesn't happen, we blame ourselves. And this happens, it's a habit. It continues year after year. Because of this bad habit, we now see the end results. We live in a free land, freedom of speech, and your free speech is a treasure. Last week, that fireman said it all. He finally said it like it was, and I was so proud of him because he affected every fireman in every state if you watched that show of last week. If you complain, you pay a price in another country. We have free speech in here. Not this country. They can't even talk because they may get fired. You know, and if you lived in another country and you talked or said something you weren't supposed to say, there could be a death sentence. We want our mayors, our governors, and even our president to direct us and speak for us. But we see all this has failed. If the people stand up for what they believe in without being afraid of the consequences, as many people are going to do on this show, we need to ensure free speech with our doctors, attorneys, and our government officials, and change a system when they have no choice. Mr. President, I send you a copy of this book. Carefully read what the people are reading and saying and feeling. We know you cannot change the world, but with our help, you can make these changes you're talking about. And our government says they make changes. You know, reality is here. My book is a reality. The chapters in here, Don't Blame Us for the Economy, A Soldier Story. You know, we talk about our military, and we talk about, we hear the government, we hear the president saying, well, you know, we're for our vets. No, hello? You know, why are we putting our heads in the sand? What about Vietnam? All these people are home from Vietnam. They're homeless on the street, and we will be doing a show on the homeless. And yet, when it comes to an election, which is now, you were hearing both sides. One of the emails that I received, this woman was from Australia. And this is what she wrote. I feel this president is deceiving the American people from refusing to honestly present his position in any political issue and stick to one position. I believe he's waffling and is designed to get any vote he can without being honest. I think this is also made worse by his Republican, illegal, immoral voter fraud. Since when do we have to have a driver's license, or the seniors that don't have it? I'm from Australia. I don't have any ID. Does that mean I can't vote? Then if I can't, I'm going back to Australia. It's not just that we have voter's ID. We don't even, for instance, a Social Security card, which is only one enough. You need more than an ID. And then she puts Romney. Romney has made it clear he intends to destroy the middle class and the poor, eliminating Obamacare, raising taxes for most people in the country while reducing them for the super wealthy. You know, the one that sent me this is an astrologist. Interesting. Here's what she's seen the future with. I can also see he's a very angry man. While he is so sarcastic and just plain nasty in his personal attacks on Obama, but he also very clearly lacks compassion and doesn't feel at all what's happening to those businesses that he rates and profits for himself. These are people from other countries that came to this country that's watching this election. But this is not for an election. This Tonight Show is not for an election. What I want to do, I want every American to see the problems that we have, and the solutions that I've come up with. And let me give you some examples. The jury system, that's in here too. We all, they say, we all have to be on a jury. We all have to do something, and it's our right. And yet, just think about it. You have a lawsuit case. You have a lawsuit case, and you proceed it. Because you can't afford an attorney. So attorneys come up to you and say, hey, you know the old saying, those who do their own case, they're a fool. Well, let's think about this. Those who represent themselves in a court, they're a fool. That's what attorneys say. Now, are they saying this because they want us to hire them? But let's look at the common sense of this. When you're on jury duty, you're still not an attorney. And look what happens. Look what happens when you're on jury duty. You may have to put a man to death, and you don't even know the law. And then they're saying, listen to us. Listen to our phrases. I'm a paralegal, and I said, if I was an ordinary consumer and I'm on this jury, how would I even know? How would I even know what they're even talking about? Substantial this, do that. I'm sitting there afraid to ask questions because I'm going to look stupid. This is you, people. And then they say, if we do our own case, if we defend ourselves, we're a fool. And yet we can put a man to death or release him and not know any parts of the law. And then they say, put your common sense into it. How can we put common sense into it if we got to put a man to death? And if you don't know the law? So what do these attorneys want from us? What does our government want from us? Do they want us to know the law so we can sit on the jury panel? Or they want us to just hire everybody, which people can't afford attorneys. And there's a chapter in here. If you cannot afford an attorney, where else to go, what to do, and how you can do things yourself that you didn't even know that was possible. One example in here is I met a gentleman. When I was writing this book on the one chapter, he had a business. And I said to him, why aren't you incorporated? You could have all these tax write-offs. Why aren't you incorporated? And he said to me, well, I went to my attorney, and he said I would have to $10,000 to be incorporated. I said, excuse me, $10,000 to get incorporated? Well, let me tell you something. Suppose I could tell you what to do for only a couple hundred. Would you want to be incorporated? He said, of course. I said, well, I'm going to tell you what to do. It's in the book. And he did it. And now he's incorporated. And went back to his own attorney and saying, how dare you? How dare you? And then we have the case where if you do seek judgment and you're suing someone, do you need to be an attorney? No, all you need is knowledge. All you need, and to be a little bit brave for yourself. Well, I'm trying to get the braveness out of you and not be so meek that you're afraid of everything. You were afraid of things. You were afraid of losing your home. You're afraid of foreclosure. You're afraid of shows coming to your door. You are afraid of things. It's got to stop. It has to stop. I have even a solution to credit. I'm a credit expert. I help people with credit problems. And I hear it day by day in the last 30 years. They call me the miracle worker. They say, Pearl, you've raised my score in 30 days. You're a miracle worker. I'm not a miracle worker. I'm using the same laws that were given to me under the Fair Credit Reporting Act that attorneys don't even know. So I am showing you now how to do it. But not only am I showing you how to do it, I have shown in this book, every congressman is going to get a copy of this book. Why? Congress is the one that put the Fair Credit Reporting Act together. Congress is the one that, even though they should understand it, they do not understand the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And if I'm having solutions to turn the economy around, why aren't they accepting it? They're not accepting it because they don't want to accept it. I've said it before. I will say it again. This country wants people with credit problems. This country wants people under. Why? I haven't figured that one out yet. This country wants people with cancer so they can die. Hard thing to say. Why? What do we have? Overpopulated people? What do we have? I mean, I was even told years ago when I was a talk show host on a radio station, I had a captain of the Air Force come on. He got fired, but he came on my show and said, we're putting airplanes up there and we're throwing down things, poison. But our government's not allowed to say it. But he did. And when he did, he got fired. So I say to people, anytime you see in the air 3 lines, get inside. Because that was a warning from this Air Force general that appeared on my show. That's in the book too. Also in the book is, don't let me die. You could be so healthy and you're going to get sick because of what you're doing wrong. How many fast food places are out there now? How can we get stronger in life? I'll tell you what's confusing me. And the ban, which I was a smoker for all these years, and now it's poison. They're putting more poison in it. But our government is raising it $5, $6 a pack. Where back then when I smoked, I don't smoke anymore. It was, a quarter? But here's the problem here. The government and the tobacco companies didn't want to clash. They couldn't get the money out of these tobacco companies. So they were real strict with the tobacco companies. Now think about it. We're allowed to drink all the alcohol we want. We're allowed to go to the state stores and buy all the alcohol we want and die of liver cancer. But it's okay to smoke a cigarette. It's okay because they're putting taxes on it. Why don't they just quit it and say it's not allowed in this country? No, they won't do it. So they have to punish the tobacco companies. And they're punishing the tobacco companies through us. What are we, robots in this country? Do we have to look at we trust our doctors, we trust our lawyers, we trust everybody. And everybody says to me, who is there to trust? You have to trust yourself. Whatever you feel, you have to trust yourself. When we come back, I'm going to talk about what is in this book that every American needs to read and help me correct the problems. We'll be right back.
I'm consumer protection lawyer Kerry Flitter. You've heard me as a guest on the Pearl Polto Show. We often get calls from consumers complaining about their experience at a car dealership. Very often a dealer will advertise a low interest rate, But when you go to sign for the loan, you get stuck with a higher interest rate. Sometimes they'll blame your credit history, whether that's the real reason or not. There are laws in place that protect consumers from these and other unfair tactics that are sometimes practiced by some of the car dealers. We know the rules that the car dealers have to live by, whether Pennsylvania or New Jersey. If you feel you've been taken advantage of, call us for a no-cost consultation at 888-668-1225. That's 888-668-1225, or visit our website, consumerslaw.com. That's consumers with an S, consumerslaw.com. If we accept your case, our fees are paid only by the car dealer at the end of your case. 888-668-1225. We'll be happy to work for you.
Welcome back to the Pearl Polto Show. As I said, this is a very intense show today. And the reason why it's intense is because I'm trying to get a message across. I was so proud of the firemen last week. They got a message out to the city about the contracts. And every fireman across the United States is listening. And every fireman out there said, if they can do it, why can't we? Well, I want to do the same thing. When it comes to every field, are we doomed? The reason why I titled it, I'm one red, white, and blue. The book is red, white, and blue. I called it Are We Doomed? Enough is enough for reasons. The are we doomed is we don't have to be doomed. We don't have to be doomed in this country. If we did what was supposed to be done and back up our fellow men. I called it Are We Doomed? Enough is enough, because that was for the people. Get sick of what's happening in this country. Wake up, world. I'm only one person. I'm one person, but to me, enough is enough. Some of the chapters, if you're done reading this book, you will understand. As I said, a copy of it's gone to Congress before the elections. A copy of it went to the president. And normally, when I write a complimentary book to the president, which I did years ago, we the people have credit rights too, I received a personal letter from President Clinton. And he read the book, and Hillary. And they read it, and he said, you know, I've been passing this on. This book I've sent to Washington. And I know I'm scaring them. I am scaring them because they're saying we're in trouble if all American reads this, especially before the elections. Another chapter with this cancer thing I was telling you about, chapter 7, America, don't let me die. So the reason why I'm saying America, don't let me die, because we're depending on America to keep us alive instead of ourselves. Go by your gut feeling. Do what you have to do. When you read that chapter, you're going to go berserk because you're going to say, why didn't we have the common sense? Why are we waiting for our congressman, our president, our mayor, our senator to tell us what to do and what not to do? Do we trust everybody in this world? Well, obviously we got screwed already, as we know. The chapters in this book, when I wrote this book, there's a chapter 2. It was called The Dark Side of White. When I wrote that, my good friend passed away. And she was African American, and she worked with me, alongside of me, with credit. And The Dark Side of White, the reason why I called it The Dark Side of White is because we had to prove a point when I was writing this. She wanted to prove a point to me. I wanted to prove a point to her. But guess who failed? Me. I was wrong. She was right. And what she taught me, I went into shock. But everybody out there that's black or African American, when you read this chapter, you're going to say, yes, yes. Everybody should understand it. Everybody should know what we're going through. I do. That's why I wrote The Dark Side of White. It was a black and white issue. And we put it to the test of America. And we found out our answers. You won't like what you read. But I got the biggest education because we became so close when it came to our friendship. Another chapter in here, back to the basics. How many people out there saying, well, we had it so good back then. We had it so good. Well, go back then. Let's go. Let's reverse it. I hear it. I hear it on Facebook. I see it on Facebook. I see it on my email. When somebody says, in my day, we got a licking, we got a spanking, we got the ass kicking out of us when we did something wrong. We were more afraid of our parents than we were of the cops. How many out there has ever said that? I know I have. Don't ever lock me up because my parents will kill me first. I'd rather be in jail. But this is how we live. And it was the right way how we lived because we had character. Look at today. Look at today. The parents are not even allowed to hit their kids or it becomes child abuse. They're not allowed in the school. If they do yell, they can report you. Whatever happened? Whatever happened to the 50s and 60s where all of us were brought up in the right way? I mean, where's the world going to go in 20 years from now? I don't want to be around. I don't want to be around knowing these kids that are reporting their parents for cursing at them are giving them an ass kicking for what they did, no matter what they did. How are they going to turn out? Is this going to be our presidents of tomorrow? We're all in bad shape. We are doomed. So all this, then there's a thing, attorneys and credit. When I started doing credit, it was 30 years ago. And all I had to deal with was the credit bureaus to raise your score, 30 points, to get your mortgage. And I also had to deal with the bill collectors. As you've seen it, if you looked all the YouTube, she was one of my guests that walked off. But nowadays, it's not the bill collectors that we're dealing with as well. Now we're dealing with, quote, the attorneys who are the bill collectors and saying they have an ego and they got a big ego that I'll take you to court. I'll collect this by taking your home. Well, let me tell you, attorneys out there that are threatening the people to take their home. They can't. So don't try to intimidate them, because if you're attorneys out there and are threatening these people, you're also under the same guidelines as the Fair Debt Collection Act. You have to be fined as well by Washington. So if you don't know credit laws or you think you're getting away with it, go to my website. Go to the video channel where the sheriff department came up to my client and closed it as if he had a gun in his hand. And the attorney allowed it. Or go to the letters or my testimonial letters where a client went to her attorney and saying they froze my account illegally. But what's the answer of the attorney? What's the answer? I'm the one who unfroze it. But if she didn't know me, what would have happened? What would have happened? And I splurted out to the Federal Trade Commission, to the Banking Commission. They unfroze it within 24 hours. They have to stop threatening you because they are attorneys. I'm a paralegal. Nothing to do with it. I don't scare people. It's the consumer. It's the consumers. You have to stop and once in your life say what I've always said. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose but to have freedom of speech, what you believe in, and stop going all over the internet for your homework and that you don't even know. Anybody can do it. Do your homework. I always say do your homework. You're not doing your homework. I get frustrated. I get frustrated because I'm trying to change the world overnight. And if that's my crime, well, then I'm going to die a happy person because I will change something in this world. I've already changed many things, many things. In 1989, when I started with credit, there was 6 major credit bureaus. You didn't even know it. We're down to 3. Now you know it because it's in your backyard. They can't get their mortgages. They can't do anything. And then you're going into a circle. You can't even go for a refinance because your home was $200,000. Now it's only $124,000. What are you going to do? What is Congress? What is Washington? What do they want from us? I know what I have to do. I have to raise, as mortgage companies give me clients, I raise their score to get them refinanced. But if your home is $200,000 and now it's selling for 120,000. Now you got good credit. What are you supposed to do? They're putting us all into a corner, and I include us because I'm also a consumer. I may be a consumer advocate. I may be a credit expert. And let me tell you what I am. I'm a consumer advocate. I'm a credit expert, next insurance agent. I'm a paralegal. I've done it. I'm a recording artist way back then in the 70s. I've done it all. So I have the knowledge of every field. And then on top of it, being a talk show host, I had all these guests on that cramped in my head all this knowledge. Cramped in my head. There's a section in here. Surprised the hell out of me. But I'm glad I know it now. And now I'm going to tell you. You know, when people, you hear cholesterol. Your cholesterol's too high. Your cholesterol's too high. And I met this doctor one time in California. And I said, why are you saying direct opposite? He said, you know what? All the doctors hate me. All the doctors hate me right now. And I said, but can I quote this in my book? He said, you sure can. Because I want to be, a doctor's vow is to be honest with the people. So what he said in my book is going to shock you when it comes to cholesterol. When it comes to my book, it's going to shock you what the insurance companies are doing, what the pharmaceutical companies are doing. Why are they doing it? Well, I'm going to tell you why they're doing it. If we had a cure for cancer, they would have to close down all the cancer hospitals, all the pharmaceutical companies, and guess what? It would cave in our economy. So let's kill people off. Let's kill the people. They won't know it. Let's kill the people. They're dying of cancer. Let's kill them. Because we have too many people in the world. We do have cures, and if we all get together, when you find out the cures in this book, and then they say, you hear on the internet, you hear from people, anybody that says they have cures, they're a quack. Well, I said the same thing. Anyone, I want to see it. I want to see it from my own eyes. And I did. And I did see it from my own eyes. And when I seen it from my own eyes, I was angry. And I just wanted to tell the world, but how do you tell the world that has hope, wants hope, and believes in their doctor 100%? And I have doctors that say to me, my own doctors will say, Pearl, we're not God. And they're not, but they admit it. And yet other doctors will say, don't you dare. Scam, 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 scam. So everything you hear is a scam. Why? Who's telling you this? Is it our government telling you this is a scam? Not to take this? Because it may help you. You may live tomorrow. Well, what they do is all the chemo. Now let's look at the common sense of this. If you had chemo, what is it? It's a poison. It's a poison that's gone through your body. And sometimes I say, the people that had cancer, suppose you didn't have cancer, and then they say you have cancer and they're treating you. What would you do? There's a chapter in here too with this. You know, years ago, they told my own mother, they said, she's got a cancer in her brain. And I thought, she got cancer in her brain. And they put her in a hospital for tests. And I want to see her one day. And she lost her memory. And I thought the cancer went to her brain. But it didn't. She went in shock. Her body, her subconscious was protecting her. So when I went in the hallway to the surgeon, I said, when you walk in my mother's room, please don't mention the word cancer. Because she's forgetting her memory. He said, who said she had cancer? I said, you doctors, you're going to operate on her brain. He said, no, we didn't say that. I said, she's leaving this hospital today. And I went in and I said, Mom, you don't have cancer. Well, that minute she got her memory back. And for the people that they say they have hope, what's hope to you? What is hope to you? When they say you're fighting, when you say you're fighting for cancer, what are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? To stay alive? Well, if you have cancer and you're fighting to stay alive and I'm going to shoot you, well, you're going to die, correct? But if you have cancer and I'm going to give you poison, you're going to die, correct? So why would you say that I'm your hope? Why would you say that I'm your hope? You look at the common sense of it, you're saying, well, they say it's killing the cancer. Do you think that's the only thing that kills cancer? Naturally, we all know the chemo is killing everything else inside of you. And if you don't have a heart attack first, many people don't die of cancer; they die of everything else. But there are cures, and I'm not saying this just to say it. If there's a product out there, as a consumer advocate, I do my homework, and I do my homework for putting everything to the test. And I will be that guinea pig for you. I am that guinea pig for you. And I will say 10 years ago, yes, I had cancer. I don't want to go. When I yelled at the doctors and said, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, and I didn't. I'm still around. I'm in good health, as a matter of fact. I'm not even sure if I even had it. But that's the scary part. So I had to write this in here because I wasn't even sure. So all you have to do is sometimes just say no. And if you're not brave enough to say no, you're going to die with 50,000 other people with their credit, your homes, your health. And as I said, I praised this gentleman last week. I praised this fireman. If you didn't watch it, watch it. Because he was so knowledgeable and angry at the mayor of the city of Philadelphia. And that could be one fireman that emailed me and said, we're going through the same thing, and I live in California. But now they're standing together. And I think the policemen, if they do the same thing, it's going to happen for the policemen too, not just in the city of Philadelphia. But I don't want the police and the firemen to make changes. I want the people to make changes. I am not God, but I am your messenger. And I can't tell you who to vote for. But I will say, like when you say, well, who are you voting for, Pearl? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like either one. Definitely, I'm not going to be Romney. He's all for the rich. He's all for the banks. And I'm seeing what he's doing to the banks. And he's making a disgrace of what's going to happen to the poor. There's not going to be no middle class no more. And as far as Obama, yes, he's trying, but he's not experienced enough. And why I say he's not experienced enough, because I'm a credit expert. He's an attorney in his other life, but you're not an expert in every field. I'm not a heart surgeon. I don't know what to do when it comes to operating on people. I don't know what to do if I had to come into your house to repair your spigot. But I'm a credit expert. That doesn't make me an expert in every field. And yet, the banks are getting away with murder because they know they can get away with murder under his watch. And why I say that is two instances that just happened. One of them, one person that I know received a letter from a credit card company. Now, here's a person, owns his own home. Now, let's use our common sense again. He owns his own home. He's got all the credit cards, not all the credit cards, but the credit cards that he wants for his business. He owns his business. And yet the credit card, one minor credit card, writes him and says, if you apply for one more, we may close you up. Hello? How dare them? What country are we living in? I'm the one that had the right to the Federal Trade Commission, the Banking Commission, and I want to expose it and a copy of it going to their bank. How dare you tell me how to spend my money? How dare you to say who I can and cannot get as a bank? But this is how far they're going. And why they're doing it? They're allowed to do it. They are allowed because it's under their watch. And these pre-approved banks that saying you're all approved. You're not approved. Pre-approved means they just want to look inside your credit report. And everybody's worrying about their credit score. Stop worrying about your credit score. It's like blood pressure. It goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. And there's a chapter in here where it actually tells you. They've called me many names. The Don Quixote of the credit field, the Rocky, the female Rocky when it comes to credit rights. And I've done it all. I've sued the credit bureaus 1987 and won, but I had to pro se it now. I had to be my own attorney, and I wasn't even a paralegal then. But I had the fight in me. As long as I have the fight in me, I'm going to give it to you. And you have to follow me just by looking, observing, and then say, I'm not going to take it. So you want to say to me, what do you want us to do, Pearl? What do you want us to do? Well, here's what I want you to do. I want everyone in America to go on Kindle and read my book, for one, because I am donating it to a cause, but it's not the cancer cause. Because I'm going to give it directly to these people that have cancer. I'm going to give it directly to these kids that never heard of the word, and not to the middleman. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to direct it to the people that have lawsuits and afraid because they can't hire an attorney. That's who it's going to go to. And if I have to fund it from this book, that's where it's going to go, because I'm going to force the community of the whole United States to join forces. If you need an attorney, we're going to pay for the legal services, not an attorney, the legal services. We're going to do all that, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm only the messenger, but I'm going to make an era. As I said, I would like to make changes. And this is the year I've always said I want to make changes. A lot of people died around me. And I said, why is God taking everybody? And for wrong reasons. Doctors are giving prescription pills to people. People are going overdoses. Then they're having heart attacks. Then they got the cancer. Then they got the chemo. And then they're dying and said, she was fighting. Well, I have to say, my cousin did fight. But she fought at the end. And that's what's bothering me. I didn't know she had cancer until the end. And if I'd known, she would have had this machine in this book a lot earlier. But when I did find out, the doctor expected her to die 24 hours. She did. And that's what's bothering me. So if I could affect more people out there that has cancer, and I'm not telling you not to listen to your doctor. I'm telling you to do your homework and then make your own choices up for your body. If you think you're strong enough, you may not be strong enough. You may say, I don't really care. Well, until it comes in your backyard. I heard that with credit. I heard that with the credit bureau by saying, I don't really care to get educated by you, Pearl. And that until it's in their backyard, then they call me up to say, I'm having a problem. They're about to freeze my account. They're taking their money out. They're out to take my home. And that's another show altogether. They can't take your home because of a credit card. They can't do it. Credit cards are unsecure. So if any attorney out there that says it, read the book and get educated. I've written 5 books, but this is the one that I'm hoping to change the country. And it will, because they can't deny it. Even the president can't deny it. And you're going to see these solutions in here, and you're going to say, oh my God, they're so simple. Or you're going to see the cure for cancer, and you're going to say, oh my God, our government's reading this. Why aren't they doing this? So I want you angry, as that fireman was angry last week. We have a lot of great shows. This is the beginning of a new era. Every Wednesday, we're on at 7 o'clock. And if you have a problem, it doesn't have to be with credit. If you have a credit problem, go to my website or call my toll-free, 1-800-876-CREDIT. You will get a discount just because you heard me today. 1-800-876-CREDIT. You call me to say, Pearl, I heard you, watched it on YouTube. I have a credit problem. Or you could say, I have a problem. I'm not going to turn you away. I'm going to direct you, or even with me. So each situation, and then pass the word around. Go on Facebook, go to your emails, go to your neighbors to say, watch this show. You need to hear this. Because come October, you're going to hear some shocking shows. And this is why I'm presenting it as I did to present it, the Pearl Polto show. I'm doing it again for the night version. So this, I'm hoping it registers in everybody. And I will, the proceeds from this book will be going to real people like you to save your home, save you from cancer, or doing what you have to do. Get to know the facts. The book is called Are We Doomed? enough is enough. This is Pearl Polto, as always, trying to make the best of your credit, giving credit where credit's due. As they say, God bless America. See you next week.
Interest